I used to like the guy from Moby Grape. I don't know what happened to him, but I can't really think of anybody. I just sort of copied what was on records, but I was lucky that I had a good ear and I didn't really have to learn the music. I didn't have to learn the parts. I just learned how the music went, and I could follow like that without actually learning the parts.
Wow, that sounds familiar.
I know somebody like you.
Yeah, I didn't. I sort of let it slip after a while, and I sort of fell behind in some styles. Like I can't thumb pop or any of that stuff, you know. Not that I think it's, you know, it gets a little redundant after a while. You can do it once, and okay, there are 3 minutes of that. That's way too much, you know.
Did you feel any pressure following behind Jim Cale, the original guy, or did you feel, no, I'm going to create my own style and go my own way here?
Well, no, I thought I would have done a few things different, and that part I did them different anyways. Like I would have played, you know, he was more of a standard bass player, and he played a lot of boogie runs and stuff, and I wasn't as much into the boogie runs. But you know, if you listen back, what Cale did on those records works quite well.
Donnie, how about you? Guitar influences? What's your secret? What do you do? That,
well, I think you know, Chet Atkins was always a big influence in my life, and of course, you know, George Harrison, the Beatles, Eric Clapton. I mean, all the greats, you know. And but I'll tell you one thing is that working with Kurt Winder was probably one of the greatest inspirations, because him and I had a band called the Sons and Lovers one year with Randy Peterson was in it, and Fred Hendrick and myself, and we had a really good summer band. And Kurt had such a neat style, like, and he was in Playboy magazine, was rated in the top 5 guitar players of the world, and he had such a great style of playing. Most guitar players will always push up strings like this, and Kurt always pulled his strings down. There was a kind of a different type of sustain that he played, and he was so meticulous about his parts. Like, he would always play the same thing all the time. Like, he wouldn't just sort of jam something out. So he was always, and Randy Bachman, of course, was another, and Lenny Breau, you know, guitarists that you know grow up listening to and get influenced by. That's basically where my stuff came from, you know, the Beatles and
great influence.
Yeah, great, you know, but I've always never really been like a real lead guitarist in my own eyes. I've been more like a rhythm and a writer in that sense, you know. So although on the live show I got a chance to do a couple of solos on the stuff, like Let It Ride, and that was fun.
A lot of people in their teens and 20s are saying their generation has no good music, and they're listening to the music that you guys created. What do you say to that?
Good for them.
Well, I don't think anybody's come up with any new reasonable styles that I can see. You know, I'm just hearing the same thing put out and out again.
Were you guys innovators?
I don't think so. We were just copying off the radio.
We were
copying. That was one of the biggest things. And having a band from Winnipeg and trying to get a recording contract, you'd send a demo tape in and says, well, what style is it? Well,
yeah.
It's no style, because it's everything. Well, we heard everything, and that was the influence, was everything that was on the radio. You know, we didn't see anything wrong with it. It was on the radio like that. Why can we play it like that? But I know in bands after the Guess Who sending tapes out, well, what kind of a style is it? Well, it's our style.
Yeah.
Well, then they wanted to pinhole you into, well, is it heavy metal, or is it this, or you know. And
they're still doing that, you know.
I think there's way too many styles now.
Music industry's in crisis, though, in terms of the money. Is that going to
you know
a
what?
rebirth of real music?
Well, I don't know. I think it's going to happen more with stuff like this, and people aren't going to be paid for it anymore. We were just lucky to be in on it when it started out, when it wasn't paying, and it took off and it paid. There was a point in time when I could play in bars and make a living, and that's all gone.
Yeah.
That's all gone. You know, these people are now.
It's all disco.
They're touring around
stuff.
for a possible percentage, or there's bands playing at the zoo, and they're selling tickets to their friends, and then, you know, it's a joke, but you know, that's what's happened. So
yeah, but I think the live shows, I think, will always be around the festivals, and you know, I think the Minnedosa Festival is still going, and there's a lot of festivals, actually more in the States than we find here in Canada. There's I think there'll always be a place for people to play.
Get up in the morning, get on the bus. Get up in the morning like the rest of us. places to go, important people to meet. Better not get up or you might lose your seat.